A war of words with potentially devastating consequences. Donald Trump has set his sights on New York City's potential next mayor, Zohran Mamdani, threatening to sever the financial lifeline between the federal government and the nation's largest metropolis. This isn't just political theater. It's a high-stakes showdown with billions of dollars and the well-being of millions of New Yorkers hanging in the balance. The heart of the controversy lies in Trump's characterization of Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. In recent statements, Trump has repeatedly labeled Mamdani a pure communist, a term loaded with historical and political weight. This accusation has become the cornerstone of his argument for potentially taking drastic measures against the city if Mamdani is elected. "If he does get in, I'm going to be president and he's going to have to do the right thing or they're not getting any money," Trump declared in a recent interview. This direct threat to withhold federal funds is a significant escalation, targeting a city that relies on this funding for everything from infrastructure and transportation to social services and public safety. So, who is Zohran Mamdani, the man at the center of this political firestorm? A 33-year-old state assemblyman from Queens, Mamdani's victory in the Democratic primary was a stunning upset. He ran on a progressive platform, identifying as a democratic socialist, and his victory signals a significant leftward shift in New York City's political landscape. Mamdani's platform includes ambitious proposals like raising taxes on the wealthy, expanding rent control, and creating publicly owned grocery stores. These policies, aimed at addressing the city's affordability crisis, have energized a base of progressive voters but have also drawn the ire of conservatives and more moderate Democrats. And now, the President of the United States. In response to Trump's communist label, Mamdani has been unequivocal. In a recent television appearance, he stated, "No, I am not, and I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately, because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting." 4. Mamdani frames his political identity through a different lens, citing Martin Luther King Jr. in the fight for economic justice. He argues that his policies are designed to uplift working-class New Yorkers who have been left behind by the city's growing inequality. This positions the conflict as a battle of ideologies, Trump's vision of order versus Mamdani's vision of equity. The question on everyone's mind is, can a president legally cut off federal funding to a city? The answer is complex. The Impoundment Control Act of 1974 was enacted to prevent the executive branch from unilaterally withholding funds appropriated by Congress. This law establishes a clear process that a president must follow to delay or cancel spending. Historically, the power of the purse lies with Congress. The executive branch is tasked with administering these funds. While presidents have sought to use federal funding as leverage in the past, a blanket refusal to fund a city based on its elected leadership would undoubtedly face significant legal challenges from the city and state of New York. Trump's threat is not without precedent. During his first term, he repeatedly threatened to withhold funding from so-called sanctuary cities that limited their cooperation with federal immigration authorities. These threats often led to lengthy court battles, with mixed results for the administration. The rhetoric against Mamdani goes beyond just his political platform. Critics have also pointed to his past statements and associations as cause for concern. This includes his use of the phrase "globalize the intifada," which has drawn condemnation from some who view it as a call for violence, a claim Mamdani has refuted. Mamdani has clarified that this is not language he currently uses and emphasizes his commitment to universal human rights for all people. However, these past statements have provided ammunition for his political opponents, who are using them to paint him as a radical and divisive figure, unfit to lead a city as diverse as New York. The potential economic impact of withholding federal funds from New York City would be catastrophic. The city receives billions of dollars annually for a wide array of programs. This includes funding for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, public housing, and crucial anti-terrorism security measures, all of which could be jeopardized. This threat also has significant political implications. For Trump, it galvanizes his base and frames the upcoming mayoral election as a national issue, a battle against the radical left. It's a tactic that plays well with his supporters and reinforces his image as a strong leader willing to confront political adversaries. For Mamdani, Trump's attacks could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, they elevate his national profile and could rally progressive support around him as a symbol of resistance against Trump. On the other hand, the fear of losing federal funding could sway more moderate voters who are wary of a confrontational relationship with the White House. The situation has drawn reactions from across the political spectrum. Some Republican figures have echoed Trump's concerns, warning that a Mamdani mayoralty would be disastrous for New York City. They see his policies as a threat to the city's economic stability and public safety. Meanwhile, many Democrats and civil liberties organizations have condemned Trump's threat as an abuse of power and an attempt to intimidate voters. They argue that the president should not be using federal funds as a weapon to punish cities for their political choices. The outcome of the New York City mayoral election in November will now be watched with even greater anticipation. A victory for Mamdani would set up an unprecedented standoff between a major American city and the federal government, with the potential for a protracted legal and political battle. This conflict is emblematic of the deep political polarization in the United States today. The starkly different visions for the country and for its cities are on full display. The clash between Trump and Mamdani is not just a personal feud. It's a microcosm of the larger ideological struggles shaping American politics. It also raises fundamental questions about the relationship between different levels of government. To what extent can a president dictate policy to a locally elected official? And what recourse do cities have when faced with a hostile administration in Washington? The coming months will be crucial in determining how this standoff unfolds. Should Mamdani win, his administration will need to navigate a complex political and legal landscape to protect the interests of New Yorkers. This could involve legal challenges, negotiations with Congress, and a public relations battle to win over hearts and minds. For now, New Yorkers are left to consider the implications of their vote. Will they be swayed by the promise of progressive change, or will the threat of losing federal funding push them towards a more moderate candidate? The stakes have never been higher for the city that never sleeps. This is a story that will continue to develop, with significant implications not just for New York City, but for the balance of power in the American political system. The rhetoric is heated, the threats are real, and the outcome remains uncertain. As the mayoral race heats up, the nation will be watching to see if this is a new era of federal-city relations, one defined by confrontation and coercion, or if cooler heads will prevail. The future of America's largest city may well depend on the answer. The clash between Trump's strongman politics and Mamdani's progressive vision encapsulates the current political moment. It is a stark reminder of the deep divisions that exist and the challenges that lie ahead for a country grappling with profound questions about its identity and future. We'll be following this story closely as it develops. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest reports. We'll see you next time.